Egyptian princess mummy hiding a mysterious secret. I'm translating this from Greek to English from the Adrastika. A paradoxical secret hiding in the Egyptian princess mummy. In the fall of 1934, an elegantly dressed elderly gentleman, who reportedly called himself Elliot Harriman of St. Louis, was presented to the director of the Egyptian department of the Cairo Museum in Egypt. The director of the museum was surprised when he heard the stranger's strange proposal. The provincial gentleman expressed a desire to buy the mummy, number 296, which was in the possession of the Cairo Museum. In fact, he was willing to pay whatever amount he was asked for. The mysterious American refused to accept the director's statement that the treasuries belonged to the state and to all the people of Egypt. He insisted and said he would pay 5 times as much as he got the famous mummy. The unthinkable demands of the American and his insistence exasperated the Egyptian curiosity. If Elliot Harriman so longed for a mummy, he could buy it from an antiques dealer, and at that time there were less than 50 in the Egyptian capital. But why did he want this one, number 296? And not only him, but also his wife, who accompanied him, put even more pressure on the director. Do you know at least who the mortal shell that this mummy belonged to? The Egyptian asked. No, but that doesn't matter at all, admitted the strange American. But maybe it does matter. Here's a catalog of the collection. Here you see, Egyptian section mummy number 297. It is a mummy of a priestly royal blood from the time of the Second Dynasty, very well maintained. It was found in the Luxor excavations in 1888, but for a long time it was in the hands of a fellow collector who purchased it from the Cairo Museum some time ago. The director analyzed and closed the thick volume of the long catalog. Harriman had the expression of a man just bored, and it was clear he was not interested in all this information. And the director continued. I should also note that around this particular mummy, the director said, which you so unquestionably long for your private collection, has created a whole circle of traditions and prejudices which I certainly do not approve of, but may be of some value to you. In our valuable collection we have 10 mummies which are said to bring misery and misfortune to anyone who approaches them. Among them is the mummy of this princess. Here are some recent events to illustrate. Mummy seems to detest photographers. 2 professional photographers with the permission of the director photographed it. So one of them, when he was leaving the museum, was pulled over by a passing car and seriously injured, and his camera was destroyed, so the princess's photograph could not be printed. The latter didn't even show his own photo, as he died 10 hours after taking pictures of mysterious poisoning. He died of mysterious poisoning after taking the picture. Since then, no photographer has dared to photograph the mummy again. In fact, an alleged English traveler who, despite a strict ban, brought a small camera during his visit to the museum and tried to photograph this mummy number 296. When he returned to his hotel, 2 police officers waited for him. It was a notorious scam that was being sought by the police authorities around the world, and he was to be arrested that day. In the end, the mummy also brought him misery and malice. In another case, a benevolent 45-year-old worker who, when transporting the collection, was the one who placed the mummy 296 in another showcase, as was requested of him, died suddenly 3 days later. And I could give you many more examples. I, of course, believe that these are just coincidences, but as you can see, they definitely play a role. Still, do you still insist on buying this mummy? This is what the director is asking. Elliot Harriman cast a question mark to his wife. He questioned his wife again. At that time, she was honestly told that a famous American medium, psychic or something, named Mac Lowe, L.O., who was highly consulted by the wealthy families of Fifth Avenue, has suggested that they definitely buy Mummy 296 of the Cairo Museum if the amount they would ask for the amount they would ask for whatever amount the Cairo Museum requested. So they basically were carrying out the orders of the psychic from Fifth Avenue, from Manhattan. So this relic of this mummy, according to the psychic, would bring them great happiness. So they made the decision to travel as far as Egypt to gain this at any sacrifice. 8 days later, the mummy was owned by the Harriman couple, so they succeeded in buying it and bringing it with them. It's said that they were given it. However, Elliot Harriman donated £5,000 to the museum. Returning home, he was unhindered. The mummy, which had been removed from her sarcophagus, was placed in a striking showcase and featured prominently in the family's luxurious apartment. In the end, the mummy of the priest brought no misery, but not the magic blessing that the couple expected either. So they went to find the medium, the psychic, which advised Elliot Harriman to give the Egyptian relic to a specialist radiologist for further examination, because inside it was something that would be of great importance to Harriman's future. So 2 days later, the princess of ancient Egypt was transferred to a radiologist's laboratory and examined using x-rays. The rays revealed beneath the mummy's wrapper a very thick envelope whose 5 seals looked like dark spots on the photographic plate. Carefully, this enigmatic envelope was removed from the mummy. When they opened and read it, Elliot Harriman was shocked. It contained the covenant of Adalbert Cador, who was uncle to Mrs. Harriman. Cador had died in 1902. Before his end, he had deposited the enormous amount of $80,000 at the time in a large private bank in New York. This amount had been given to his niece, Margarita Harriman, thus excluding her other relatives. No one had any idea of this amount, not even the heirs. He stayed at the bank and increased his interest. The money was in the bank, increasing in interest, until after traveling to Cairo, he returned to America in the hands of the beneficiary heir. But now was the covenant found in the mummy's wrap number 296. Adam Cador was a maniacal collector of antiques, and had some mummies among his treasures. One of them was obviously the princess of this princess of the Second Dynasty. After Cador's death, the antiquities, his collection was sold. The Egyptian princess crossed the ocean and returned to her hometown in Egypt until her invasive gaze brought her back to America and exactly to the house where she had to bring happiness with her secret letter. Some suspected that maybe Cador had entrusted the covenant to the medium, to the psychic, and he was looking for an elaborate way to return it to the rightful owner. But the mystery was that the mummy of the ancient princess only received the number 296 only after it was sold and classified in the vast Cairo Museum. There was no longer any reasonable explanation here. This news was published in newspaper Nightly, Vradini, in Greece in December 29th, 1934. What can I tell you? A whole rigmarole with this poor Egyptian mummy. But I'd like to know what happened to the photographers that were brought to their demise because they tried to take a picture of her. Anyway, this is something having to do with the mystical and mysterious. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.